So, this is where we start exploring the wounded mindsets and actions that come from fear running the show for us, right? When fear is in charge, confidence doesn't feel safe, it feels dangerous. The body remembers what it was like to be too visible, too loud, too much, and get hurt. So, instead of standing tall, we shrink, we silence ourselves before we speak. We question our worth the moment we feel bold. Somewhere deep inside, we've learned that being confident might lead to rejection, criticism, abandonment, or worse. So we play it safe by staying small, staying quiet, staying hidden. But here's the truth: those patterns are just survival strategies left over from the past. They protected us once, and we can honor them for that. But they're no longer the truth of who we are. So, we're here to gently release those old patterns so that you can start living from your authentic power, knowing you are safe to be seen, to be heard, and to be fully expressed. So, we're going to be going through a lot of information in this section, and we will go through all the mindsets and the actions, and then share our thoughts for those of us who are live. Take notes on the ones that feel personal to you and share those thoughts in the share portion. Also, please know that I'm not going to be reading these verbatim. So I want you really just to sit with what I'm saying right now. And you can always go back when you have access to the recordings and simply pause, read them. But right now, I want you to sit with where these different ones come up for you, where in your body, what memories are brought up for you. These are all going to be important things as we go through these. Okay. So here we go. First one: confidence has led to pain. So I learned early that when I was confident, I got hurt emotionally, perhaps even physically. When I spoke my mind, someone mocked me, dismissed me, or punished me. When I shined too brightly, people pulled away or I became a target. It felt like confidence was an invitation for rejection, embarrassment, even danger. So my body started associating confidence with pain, not empowerment. Now I hold back, not because I don't have ideas or a voice, but because a part of me is sure someone will shut me down. I've learned not to trust that being sane is safe. So I keep myself small, I stay quiet, I hide parts of who I am because somewhere inside it feels like that's the only way to stay protected. And I avoid getting hurt again by doing this. This is how fear imprints itself onto the nervous system. It's not just a thought, it's an experience that lives in our body. And while these strategies do keep us safe at a time, before, in the past, they've also kept us completely disconnected from our true power and our authentic voice. They might have kept us safe as a child, but we are no longer children. We are adults. So, together, we're here to gently honor the protective parts of ourselves while reminding them and our bodies that it's safe to be confident, it's safe to take up space, and to be fully seen. Okay. So, these are the ways that this particular mindset can show up. These are what I call our wounded actions. So, I want you to feel into this and see which ones might resonate with you. Okay. I'm fine. I'm totally fine. I'm good. Deep down, our insides are screaming, I'm absolutely not fine. No, I'm not fine at all. We over apologize for things that aren't even our fault, trying to keep the peace and avoid conflict. And I want to share something personal with you here. Over apologizing was my number one thing for so long. I'm sorry, was just part of my vocabulary. It slipped out of my mouth at least once a day, if not more, often for things that weren't even my fault or I didn't even need to apologize for. And as women, we actually do this on a regular basis. In fact, ladies, I want you to focus this week. How many times do you say, I'm sorry, when you don't need to? Somebody bumps you and you say, I'm sorry. Okay. But let me get back on track. I say, I'm sorry if someone bumped into me. That's true. And I just mentioned it to you guys. I'd say it if I had an idea in a meeting, like I needed permission to speak up. I'd apologize for taking up space, for needing help, or even just for existing too loudly. Somebody would say, you're being too loud. I go, I'm sorry. Because somewhere deep inside my nervous system believed that being small, agreeable, and non threatening was safer. But all those apologies were little ways I made myself smaller, ways I tried to stay protected from rejection, conflict, or criticism. And while I'm sorry, might have kept me safe once, it also kept me hidden and disconnected from my power. So, if you recognize yourself in that pattern, know that you're not alone. Together, we're here to start changing that story. You deserve to take up space and exist and shine and not be sorry for it. So let me get back to the next one. We hold back that brilliant idea in a meeting or group because we're sure someone will dismiss it. We avoid eye contact and stay silent in social settings because attention feels like exposure, and exposure feels dangerous. We dress in ways that help us blend in rather than stand out, even when our soul is craving to shine. These are all the quiet ways that we keep ourselves safe, not random habits, survival strategies. So let's look at the next ones. And I want you to really look at these as we're going through them because I want you to know the truth for yourself. You deserve to be more than fine. You deserve to speak your truth, to share your brilliance, show your brilliance, and feel safe through all of it. So, this is what we're doing. We're trying to bring these to the forefront so that they're no longer hidden in your body, but your mind is feeling into it too. So, here's our next one. Every time I try to be confident, my body tenses. This one's all about feeling unsafe in our body. So I want you to really think about this one as we go through it. Okay. I want you to feel where in your body when we do talk about these different actions that might show up for you. Perhaps it's your chest tightens, your stomach flips, your throat closes up. Maybe your jaw kind of locks on you. Maybe you get numbness in your hands or your feet. It just feels like something bad is going to happen. Your body is literally flinches at the idea of being bold. Even when I want to speak up or show up, a deep part of me screams, stay quiet, it's safer. Confidence does not feel empowering, it feels threatening. Your nervous system treats it like a red flag. Danger, danger. It's just right out there around the corner. It's not freedom. Feels like a setup for pain. This is your body's way of trying to protect you from repeating past hurts. It's not that we're incapable of being confident. Of course we are. It's that our nervous system learned to link confidence with danger, embarrassment, or abandonment. So let's take a look at how this one shows up, shall we? And again, I really want you to think about it, even feel like closing your eyes and feeling it as I read these, okay? Because our body will react first. You get a sudden lump in your throat right before speaking your truth, so you just stay silent instead. Feel safer. Your shoulders tense, your chest tightens, your stomach knots up, so you change the subject. You apologize. Or perhaps you just smile your way through discomfort instead of saying how you feel. You feel frozen in your body, like you physically can't move forward or take action. Or perhaps you're more of a fawn, where you just become a people pleaser. Your voice literally shakes, gets quieter, or disappears altogether. So you let others lead even when you know deep down that's best for you. You know what's best for you, but you don't show it. These are not random reactions. It is simply your nervous system feeling in and having a perceived reaction to something that happened to you in your past. Okay. Let's talk to the next couple. Your body is on high alert, like we just talked about fight, flight, or fawn. You might lash out or get defensive quickly. Maybe you snap at others when you don't mean to. Like I talked about earlier, people pleasing on autopilot. You don't even realize you're doing it. Say yes and agree to everything. Heaven forbid you rock the boat. You throw yourself into being super busy or hyper productive, using activity to outrun uncomfortable feelings. Or you avoid eye contact, touch, being truly seen because visibility feels dangerous, like it's put on your back, like you have this target on your back. These are all responses of the way your body is trying to protect you. But living in this constant high alert is exhausting. How many of you just feel so disconnected and ungrounded with yourselves? Right? Yeah. Let's go into this part, right? That disconnection, that numb, checked out. You find yourself saying, I don't know, even when deep down you totally know, because trusting your own voice feels too risky. You zone out during conversations, maybe your body during moments of intimacy, because being fully present feels too vulnerable or unsafe. You lose your train of thought, you blank out, you get foggy because your system is trying to protect you from the perceived threat of attention or exposure. This disconnection isn't your failing, it's your body's way of just shielding you from overwhelm. But while it might keep you safe in the moment, it also keeps you completely disconnected from your truth, your desires, your confidence. And here's the beautiful truth: these responses can shift with compassion, gentle practice, 2% at a time. We can teach our bodies that confidence is safe, that we deserve to be seen, heard, and fully expressed without fear. Your body doesn't have to stay locked in survival mode. Together, we're here to gently help you come back into your body so you can feel safe, clear, fully alive. You deserve to show up, not numb, not hidden, but present and powerful, and you in your own life. All right. Number 3, confidence disrupts old survival strategy. Yes, it does. How does that feel? I want you to feel into that old survival strategies. Speaking up, being seen, setting boundaries. It all feels like I'm doing something wrong. I survived people pleasing, blending in, or making myself less threatening to others. Why do I need to change now? Confidence threatens those old survival strategies, right? It shakes the foundation that once protected me, you, from rejection, conflict, or harm. So even when I want to be bold, my system pulls me back into what's familiar, into silence, into submission, into self doubt. I feel guilty for choosing me. I feel anxious when I can't take up space. I'm sorry, I feel anxious when I take up space, like I'm somehow causing harm or inviting backlash just by existing more fully. This is the conflict between your past survival strategies and your present day desire to live more freely and authentically. You're feeling a clash perhaps in your body. Your body and your mind are still trying to protect you, but the cost is your voice, your boundaries, and your right to take up space. Together, we're here to gently remind you that those protective parts of you, they're not wrong. Okay? Confidence isn't wrong, it's your birthright, and it's safe to choose you. So let's go ahead and take a look at these wounded actions and see how these feel for you. We downplay ourselves. It's not a big deal. Of course, it is a totally big deal for you, but you'll say, oh, it's not a big deal. Maybe you wanted to make something that you knew was your child's favorite and you did all this stuff and then they come home and they say, "Oh, I didn't want that." And you're like, "Oh, sure, it's no big deal." Of course it's a big deal. I'm just lucky. Instead of owning our skills, our talents, and all the hard work we put in, someone says, "Wow, look at everything you've accomplished. You're doing this and this." And you're like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, ha, ha, I'm just lucky." You're not lucky. Own your skills. We silence our needs. We say yes when we mean no. Complete classic survival move to keep the peace. And we avoid confrontation or honesty because we're afraid of being too much or of losing love and connection. We dull our shine. We dress down to blend in, avoiding eye contact. We look down all the time, dismissing compliments, brushing off praise, or refusing to celebrate ourselves because it feels uncomfortable or underdeserved. Or perhaps this is what you do. Somebody gives you a compliment and you immediately give them a compliment back, even though you have in this way dismissed their compliment. You've dismissed that moment of them wanting to feel you, your truth, how that makes you feel. These are all protective strategies, ways we've learned to stay safe by staying small. And as women, we do these all the time. Okay. So let's go ahead and look at just a couple more of these. Oh, the overthinking everything. Oh my gosh. Another one of my go tos. I obsess over what others might think before we speak or act. I do that all the time. Used to. I've gotten better. I still hold this one though. I really overthink. I second guess myself. I still do so much that we end up frozen, paralyzed by the what ifs. What ifs are creating a future that isn't even there. It's creating anxiety in our bodies because we are obsessing over what everybody else thinks and second guessing ourselves. We sabotage opportunities. We don't apply for a job. Why would I apply for that? I wouldn't get it anyway. We say no to the speaking gigs. We ghost the thing we actually want because it feels too scary to be visible. We tell ourselves, I'm not ready yet, as a protective story to avoid the risk of rejection, of failure, of judgment. These patterns, while they keep us safe, they keep us small. The truth is, we deserve to be proud of who we are, to honor our needs, and to let ourselves shine. Your ideas, your voice, your dreams, they're worth showing up for. Together, we are gently going to shift out those old patterns that we've just talked about, those actions and those mindsets, and we're going to turn it into new mindsets and new actions where confidence doesn't feel wrong, it feels like home. Your body finally says, oh, that is how I was meant to feel. So you can finally move forward with more confidence, clarity, and self trust. All right, here we go. Our final one. And this one is really important. Trauma wires me for vigilance, sorry. And you don't trust yourself. You don't trust your body. You don't trust your mind. You don't relax. You scan everything, you're watching everything, you're anticipating. You analyze every tone, every expression, every tiny shift in energy, because that's what you had to do to stay safe. In fact, women, how often have we been taught that we have to do this? We have to be hyper vigilant at all times because who knows who could hurt us, right? But we've gotten to where we're doing this about things we don't need to be doing it about. We are doing it because our body has learned that danger doesn't always announce itself. So I stay ready at all times. If I have a gut feeling, I question it to death, picking it apart until I can't trust anything. Your trauma has trained you to look for the threat, not the truth. So self trust feels foreign, maybe even foolish. And now I confuse hyper awareness with being in control. How many of you feel that? You're just simply being in control. You're being safe. You're paying attention. But because I'm always on guard, maybe I can stop that bad thing from happening. I want you to hear this. The old mindset, because if I'm always on guard, maybe I can stop the bad thing from happening. But let's be truthful with ourselves. Living in constant scanning and vigilance is exhausting, keeps us disconnected from the calm, grounded presence where our confidence and our trust actually live. So let's look at these actions. And I want you again, feel into how those old traumas are holding you back. Okay. Constantly second guessing yourself. You doubt every decision, every feeling, wondering if you're really reading the situation right. Over texting or apologizing just in case, sending follow up messages, clarifying, making sure you didn't offend or upset anyone, even when nothing's wrong. Saying yes when your whole body says no. You're agreeing to things simply because you don't want to have conflict or disappointment or lose connection with somebody. You're playing small to stay safe. You're holding back your ideas, your opinions, your personality so you don't attract attention or criticism. You're over preparing, over planning, overdoing, pouring huge amounts of time and energy into getting everything perfect, believing that's how you'll stay safe from mistakes or judgment. And you avoid doing new things. You talk yourself out of the very things you actually want to do because new situations feel risky, unpredictable, overwhelming. How are those landing? Let's look at three more. People pleasing as a love language. Oh, yes, one of my favorites. Believing if I would keep everyone happy and agreeable and comfortable, I'll be safe and loved in return. Going numb, zoning out, or shutting off your feelings completely because it feels safer than being vulnerable or risking rejection. Overanalyzing every interaction, replaying conversations in your mind, dissecting every word, tone, or look to figure out if you did something wrong or if someone is upset with you. Let's be honest, these are brilliant survival strategies way back when. They kept you safe when you needed protection, but those old strategies are not the truth of who you are. You need to speak up. You need to be seen. You need to have the words that feel right in your body. Because if you don't, you stay disconnected from who your real self is, your needs, the freedom you simply want to have. Together, we're going to gently step out of these patterns and we're going to start to rebuild the trust because we're getting ready to move in to the next section, and that's the new mindsets. So know that you're allowed to relax, trust your gut, and let your guard down, even just a little at a time. True control doesn't come from scanning for threats, it comes from trusting yourself. All right, you know the drill, people. This is where we share, and we've covered a lot today, and we're only halfway through. So some of you might feel like this has brought up a lot of stuff, brought up some memories, some things maybe you didn't expect. So if you're joining us live, I'd love to hear what's coming up for you. We're going to go over which mindset or action felt the most familiar. Where do you feel fear or hurt showing up in your body? Or simply, how are you feeling right now? Are you finding that your body's kind of shutting down just at the idea of these mindsets? And if you're watching the replay, share your reflections in the discussion thread. I always want to know what's landing for you and where you might need some more support. And remember, always sharing is optional. You never have to share anything you're not ready for. This is a space, or this is your space, and you get to decide what feels right for you.